Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dropped Frames. I have Co. Can we get a week check, Co? What week is it?
432.
432. Welcome to week 432 here of Dropped Frames unofficially. Path of Exile is kind of what everyone's been playing recently, so we decided to bring on what is described as in the chat earlier, and I'll take it, and hopefully you'll see it as a sign of or a name of endearment. The Day 9 of Path of Exile. Is this accurate?
Oh my god, that shatters my heart. That is beautiful. Thank
Okay.
you. I don't feel deserving.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. We've got a bunch of stuff to actually talk about. Path of Exile relaunched some new stuff. Been playing a lot of that. Long Dark came out. I know Co's been into that. Zeke and Co both checked out Hellblade, which I am actually very eager to talk to you guys about. I actually watched Zeke play that, and I'm almost as eager to talk to you about streaming without a webcam as well.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, because you were talking to Bike Man. I'm pretty excited by that. And you were probably completely nude and just fucking eating off your stomach while doing it, which is what you can't do when you don't stream with a webcam. It's fantastic. It's great.
Well, I do that with a webcam anyway. So
Sure, that's you're right.
I mean, it only shows me from here up. Like, I mean, do you want to see? Like, I'm not wearing anything. Like, do you want to look or?
What's the policy on Twitch here? What we need some admins in the chat to say if you can zoom down. Let's not do it. Let's just get confirmation first, and then we'll see if we get banned afterwards. You know.
I think it's just the cable television rules. Like, no pubes.
Okay.
Anything around that area.
That's the cable under cable television, and they open the book and there's just a clause that says 14C. No pubes. That's in there. Yeah.
I'm sure they would use the full word pubic hair.
No pubic hair. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's official. You have to. It's government document. Or not government. It's a company document. Yeah.
But it's funny because in order to adhere to that, I have to pull my pants all the way up almost to my belly button because my pubes just go. You know what? Let's stop talking about this.
Funny enough, I have actually a story along those lines, Zeke. You know those MeUndies pants that I sometimes talk about and often wear? Have you ever heard of those?
Yeah, they have wait, MeUndies?
MeUndies, yeah. If you don't wear MeUndies, you need to buy some MeUndies. They are the most comfortable pants you'll ever wear. I guarantee you.
Like Nintendo Wii Mii's?
No,
it's got your version of me on it.
MeUndies. No, I wish. That's clever. They should actually get with Nintendo for that, for sure.
Because you pull your me out of the hole when you gotta go pee.
Oh, God.
I'm going to have a me pee real quick.
So they're real stretchy pants, all right? I'm going to get back to the story and ignore what Zeke was saying.
Okay.
The real stretchy pants, and what was I... There was some game I was doing a super long stream for. Maybe I was playing Dota 2, and I was it was Dota 2 when I was addicted to that a couple months back. For some reason, they're super stretchy, and I was being really fucking weird on camera, and I decided to pull the pants all the way up to my shoulders while still wearing them. That's how stretchy they are, right? But in doing so, the pants formed around the rest of my body, if you get what I'm saying. And it was all on camera. And I didn't recognize it till afterwards. So
it looked like from the waist down, it was like spray painted over everything.
Right. Yeah. 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 Mm-hmm. It was like one of those things where you would rub the ink or the pencil, not ink. What the fuck am I trying to say?
A rubbing? You take a rubbing.
Yeah,
of the...
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's great. That's good stuff.
Now, are they just undies?
They have underwear. They have lounge pants. And
I'm here for Drop Frames. Is that here down the hall?
They have. It's here.
It's
okay.
Here. I'm gonna go check.
Yeah.
it out.
Okay. All right. Go check it out. No, they have everything, Zeke.
Who was that guy?
I don't know. You should. I mean, if you saw his Twitter, you should know about
I'm
selling
here for
out.
the underwear cast, personally. Let's continue.
Yeah, they've got everything, Zeke. You should check it out for sure. Strip It and Dodger got me hooked on that stuff. So.
Well, here's the thing. I don't wear if they have sweats or like pajama pants or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Then I'll look into it. But underwear, I don't use them.
You don't use underwear?
Nope.
So at all?
Nope. Unless I go to the airport.
But jeans.
You just raw dog jeans?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
I admire you.
We're learning a lot today.
This is not a new thing for me. This has been since I was 18 years old. It's like, why do we wear underwear? And then I thought about it and went, you know what? I'm going to stop. And so I stopped.
Paving the way.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm glad you didn't zoom down earlier.
I like that story.
Yeah. Jeez. Anyways, Ziggy, welcome to the show. We brought you in an interesting one.
Trial by fire.
Love it.
Jesus. Ziggy, why don't you give a quick introduction for those that aren't in the know or perhaps don't play Path of Exile and don't recognize your face?
Sure. G'day, ZiggyD here. How's it going, guys? Let's just get this out of the way at the moment. Drop bears, kangaroos, shrimp on the barbie, Vegemite Sanger, Dari VB, 2 up down the bolo. That should get that out of the way. Australian, not British, as some of chat was guessing.
Okay.
You're not going to do the Aussie, oi, oi, oi.
That's true. That's the most common
I'm not convinced you're Australian.
If you have to chant that, look, you can't just start that. Someone has to chant you in. So if I hear
Zeke, chant him in. Zeke, go. Zeke, chant him in.
Oh, you want me to do the...
You got to chant him in.
Just do the 3 Aussies
You
and then you
just
got
got
to
to do Aussie,
the
Aussie,
callback?
Aussie. Yeah, that's
All right.
Ready?
Aussie, Aussie, Aussie!
Oi, oi, oi!
All right, good. We did it.
It's 7 a.m. here.
Can't confirm.
It's 7 a.m., right? Of course it is.
That's
You're
true.
on the other side of the fucking world.
He is on the other side of the fucking world. How'd you get started with Path of Exile? I guess with streaming in general. Was that kind of how, were they synonymous with one another, or did you jump into anything before that? I would assume maybe StarCraft might be somewhere in there since that's in your name.
Yeah. Twitch and Twitter and YouTube are still tagged as ZiggyD StarCraft. Can't change them now. Too late.
Yeah.
But so I started with StarCraft, just kind of like writing about the game. Actually, I made a website called Learning SC2 back in the day when I was like typing about my noob journey from Bronze to Masters, and from that just kind of awakened that game, man, awakened an addiction in me. Like, showed me that gaming can be a lot more than just kind of like wasting some time. So. I got really into gaming through that on a whole nother level, and eventually my girlfriend Amy kind of pushed me into giving YouTube a try, and I was like, I can't see making video content. 1,700 videos later, or maybe 1,800 videos later, here I am. But I started Twitch 3-4 years ago now.
Okay.
I have a terrible memory. But started with StarCraft 2, transitioned over into Diablo 3 when that came out. Big action RPG player, love Diablo 2. And then when Diablo 3 kind of started its decline, Path of Exile started its early beta when there was only 2 acts. There's 10 now. Yeah. But I started YouTubing that, and that's when things really picked up. You know, that's when you have those moments where it really starts to hit its stride, and you're like, oh, this is actually a thing.
Yep.
And I eventually had to move across the country. We moved 8 hours away so that I could find good enough internet in Australia, because it's like small oases in the desert of good enough internet.
Yeah, internet just sucks across Australia, right? It's just awful pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah,
okay.
I think it might be like, I think my internet is like top 2% of the country now. It was top 1% 2 years ago. So it's getting better slowly. But,
okay. So where are you located then in Australia?
Near Newcastle, which is like a couple hours out of Sydney. It's kind of a random location, really. Just sometimes they build new housing areas and then they just put the fiber optic in there because it's new. So
so you're on fiber.
That up. It's like a gold rush. Yeah. It's like a gold rush for good internet.
yeah. I didn't know that Australia had fiber already. You're ahead of Texas, that's for sure. We don't. Well, I guess unless you're in Austin. Me and Co would basically dream of fiber, and probably Zeke as well. I guess we all kind of have. I think we're probably all on Comcast Spectrum.
America's a little behind in that regard.
Yeah.
We're the worst.
Cable
we're the
is getting
worst,
upgraded, which is good.
We're so like pioneering in so many fields. And the place where internet was, generated, I guess. We just fucking like
Al Gore made the internet in America.
Well, we value business over, anything else. And it's just good business to have shitty internet.
Our biggest issue is land, man. I mean, we have so many people, spread out along such a big area that unless you're in like a large or a very well populated area, your risk of getting bad internet significantly increases. Unfortunately, yeah.
The crazy
part
part
of
is
America that you're just not going to get good internet. Period.
Totally. Crazy part is we actually have good internet compared to the rest of America.
Oh, sure.
And it's still pretty bad.
It sounds like you guys have some sort of internet in the middle. We only have two forms of internet. It's either cable fiber or it's a bunch of kangaroo and koala skins strapped together, hanging in the air along those telegraph poles that we have.
They write the packets out on paper and pass them down the line.
Yeah, they send them to the kangaroos.
I think they just stand in line. They shout, "Did you get that?" He pressed the W.
One.
Wait, Mike. You got that email?
Jesus Christ. Well, cool. I would assume born and raised, never really left Australia. You've lived there your whole life?
Yeah, that's it, man. I've been to the US a couple times now, doing some YouTube stuff, but yeah, I've been here the whole time.
Now, the dev team behind Path of Exile, they are based out of New Zealand, right? Or they're Australian?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Commonly confused. They're mates across the pond.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like some other dev houses that are in New Zealand, at least that are large or on the same scale of GG, and I couldn't really.
They are the biggest by leagues, I think.
Yeah. It's kind of to jump on the Path of Exile thing. I was blown away having played this game. When did it come out? 3-4 years ago? A while? It's been a while, right?
So the game came out in 2013 officially, I think.
Okay. But it was in beta much before that, yeah?
Yeah. It was a couple of years of beta before that. Yeah, the first league, the first official league was in 2013, so around there. Because
I remember playing it when it first came out, doing this goddamn beach, desyncing all over the place and thinking... Man, this is just not. This is rough, and people were excited about it. The zeitgeist was definitely hype as fuck, but I just wasn't into it. And then playing the game, 4+ years later, it's fucking 180, almost. It's 480, 500 degrees different. It's ridiculous. It's spun around so many goddamn times that it's not even the same game. All right, that's what I'm getting at.
It'd be better if you didn't talk about it in circles.
It's 1080. All right, 1080. Like Tony Hawk can do what Path of Exile did. Right?
It was good, then it was bad, then it got good again, and then it was sort of good. 45
Yeah. It's kind of crazy, the path, and I would assume you've kind of been on the train the entire time. So what?
This is live, by the way.
What is? Yeah. Oh, this is you playing. Yeah, this is you playing right now. Exactly. Yeah. I would assume you've been on the path the entire time. So has it kind of always been on a slow up, or were there slumps along the way, or how would you kind of describe all that?
So the game now compared to back then is... Back then, it was a vision, right? It was we can see it's not the same sort of early access thing where you're imagining the potential. It's you can see in the game right now what the developers are striving for. And there's just a whole bunch of stuff that they need to improve on. You mentioned desync. That was the plague of this game for the longest time. And then several expansions ago, that was finally fixed. And then they've just been moments like that throughout its history of these major advancements, but every single league has been an improvement upon the last, and every time the game grows as well. I think almost 100% consistency growth in every expansion that the game has ever had. A few times where it peaks down a little bit, but never, there's never been a crash or a decline in the game where something was just god awful. It's just always been constant improvement, and yeah, I've been playing the game for that entire time, and I mean, that's why, ultimately. I joined the game back then because I saw that this game has a lot of what people are looking for in an action RPG. People loved Diablo 2 growing up. They played crap loads of it when they were in school and so on. Diablo 3 came out, maybe didn't offer them what they were looking for. And then this game came out and was showing, we kind of got what it was about Diablo 2 that people loved. And now we want to expand upon that. And we're take me away. I'm on this ride. Yeah. And it's been a journey, man.
I think someone was saying that before last week and you can feel free to correct me here because this is a chat stat. Chat stats are fake news. Okay, you just never know. You never know where they're going to go. Someone was saying before the expansion last week that the top viewership for this or the viewership was around 600-800 average, and then once it launched, it hit its peak of all time 140 or something like that. Do you know the stats off the top of your head?
Oh, with all of you guys joining the game, we definitely hit our biggest ever peak. I would say that we have like that sort of average of like 6 to 8K is when the game is dead, quote unquote. You know,
Okay.
like towards the end of the league before the new expansion releases and everyone's just kind of bubbling along. Even then, though, we still kind of get that viewership. People can come in and stream for 1,000 to 2,000 viewers and do all right. But it's at the the league start in the first month of the league that we really peak upwards. So I don't know, that count we had for this expansion with like Lyric and all of you guys joining, probably maybe doubles what we've had before.
Okay.
It's pretty huge.
Yeah, because Crip was kind of the big Twitch champion
Yep.
of this game early on, or at least a couple of years back. I think he was playing again last night, so he might be jumping back into it. But apart from that, I feel like people just kind of never touched this game and always looked at it. And I don't know why. Maybe it was, and Ko, you might maybe be able to answer this as well, but maybe that it was a free-to-play. It kind of was. I wasn't interested in it because they weren't charging for it. So I had the expectations of, well, it's a free-to-play game, so like how good could it be? But I always shied away from it. It was never something that I thought of. And then I was just completely blown away when I started playing with it. I think Ko was as well.
Oh yeah, man. Like for me, Path of Exile, I'd always heard about. I saw when the skill tree came out. I didn't really look into it, but I saw it and was wowed by it like most people. And then the thing with PoE is over the last years, man, since it's been out, I'd always heard there were like issues with it. And I always heard that it wasn't like super friendly for new players and that it had a pretty established community. And that, I was kind of worried if I ever streamed it or something that my stream would just become a lot of people, telling me that I'm playing wrong and, being super power gamery. And then I watched people stream it. And the only people that I saw streaming it were the ones that were doing like the end game map levels. So they're just moving at warp speed, clicking as fast as they can, not even looking at items. And they get to the town, they super identify everything. No. Okay, so back in, and I was just kind of like, you know what, that doesn't really look like it's for me. And then factor in the issues. In fact, up until 3.0, I thought the game actually still had a significant desync issue, which is kind of like an instant like, I'll wait until it's done for me.
Right.
But then it was. Funny enough, like I heard 3.0 came out, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Still wasn't really going to get into it. And then people in the chat kept, hey, are you going to try the 3.0 expansion? It's really good. Like it's gotten a lot better. Are you going to try 3.0? And I kept saying, no, not really. And then you did your 18-hour stream, and I'll never forget the morning that I tuned in,
you got
that
off
you
there.
were doing the 18-hour thing, and I was like, you've been playing this for 18 hours? And then I'm listening a little bit, and I was like, wait, is that Bike Man? Bikeman's playing too? And then like that night I look at the list and it's just like all these streamers I know playing it. And I was like,
yeah.
At that point, I kind of realized that like, holy shit, like people have been asking me to play this for a long time. I've probably been told 100 times in the last week that it's good and I should check it out. Like, okay, I'll try it. And I warned people when I started. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. I may play it for a couple hours and I'm not really big into ARPGs. Like my community will remember for like 10 minutes one day I was just like, I don't know if I'm going to like it. I don't want to get people's hopes up. Okay, I don't even know if I'm going to make a guild.
Yeah.
And since then, today was my first big stream of it. Absolutely loved it. I have almost played this game more offline than I have online, which is crazy for me. And dude, it is exceptionally fun. It's so much deeper than I thought it was. And the best part is like apparently we waited for the right time to dive in. Like
it seems
3.0,
like it, yeah.
From what all the people that have been playing this game for years have told me, like this is the time to start playing the game if you want to. Like so.
That's exactly it too. This is such a huge kind of moment in PoE's history. I think it's the time now where the game was finally ready for you guys to actually try it out. And when I say you guys, I mean kind of like the broader streaming community and the broader gaming community.
The people that haven't played it before.
Yeah, it's always been like a game that was very a niche within a niche. Like this is a hardcore game for fans of the action RPG genre who played a shitload of Diablo 2 back in the day and were like super into it. And beyond that, it was like maybe you could snag a few people because it was free to play, but for the most part, it just wasn't ready, right? Like there was too many issues, like you said. There was desync, there was a whole bunch of quality of life issues, and then there was the kind of like archaic game practices of this genre, as in playing the same content 3 times over or 4 times over initially.
Sure.
And now with this expansion, I think if you guys had played for the last expansion, which was fantastic. But if you guys had played for the last expansion, you would have played through to Act 4 where the game then repeats. And I think most of you guys probably would have been like, okay, let's go play something else now. Like, that's nothing against you guys. That was you actually played through the same content multiple times.
It was like old school Diablo where you beat the game 3 times.
Oh.
I held on to that game practice for a long time just because to develop enough content to break that practice and to also give enough playtime in an action RPG is very difficult. But now the game's been going for several years, and with this expansion, they just made like one big final push and came up with a pretty genius system that allowed them to reuse some content but still make like a full kind of long playthrough. But they've finally gotten to this point now where people can play the game that are not really like necessarily that into the genre and play all the way through. Like when I tuned in last night, I was watching JP and he was in maps. I'm like, he got to maps. I'm like, holy shit. Before the game would have turned you away before this point, unless you were like, you know, a fairly hardcore action RPG enthusiast, really.
Right.
So that's like a monumental achievement to get new players into maps.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Just the game.
Maps are in game.
Does that mean that you've completed all 10 acts and you're still leveling, basically?
Yeah. The game kind of, you quote, end the story part of it around level 68, 67, something like that. Depending on how far you or how much time you spend doing other things like the labyrinth and all that stuff while leveling. But yeah, we'll get to all that. So I want to bring Zeke in just for... we were talking before the show how you can't have another addiction right now because I've already got you hooked on Final Fantasy. Yeah. And I was saying yesterday on stream, people were like, are you going to try to convince Zeke to play because he's not going to really have too much to say in terms of talking about the game. I just said, you can't play this game, Zeke. You cannot touch this game.
No, don't
because
do it.
If I like... Here's the thing about this game, and I don't know if Code's experienced this yet, but when I was playing on Saturday, which is the first kind of big day, I played for 19 hours, and it felt like I was playing for 50 minutes. It was just like the biggest time vacuum I've had in a very, very long time. Like even Final Fantasy was not as much of a time vacuum as this, because it's just you can always go do one more thing in this game, and you just keep playing nonsense. Like it happened again last night. I think I was streaming for 12 hours or 11 hours, and I was on like 4 hours of sleep yesterday. But I wasn't even tired because I was just getting the constant gratification of like, hey, an item dropped. Hey, you got this. Hey, you got that. Hey, that thing dropped. And it does a good thing to compare it to like the Diablo world. In Diablo, the big things that you kind of look for in terms of drops are like uniques, right? That's all there is. Like, oh, cool, a unique drop. In this game, there's like so many different things that can drop that all have like a drastic impact on your character and your like growth within the game.
And in some cases, anything can drop them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not like you're just going after named mobs. It's like anything can drop some of these really good things sometimes.
Exactly. And the other thing that's I think is when I first started out, I will say the game was just, it was like a brick wall in front of me, just like a massive amount of information, no fucking clue what to do, completely lost. And I think that might be probably the biggest hurdle the game has for it right now is in terms of new player adoption, they're going to load in for the first time and just fucking be confused as hell like I was.
Real quick, on that note, have you looked at the help system?
Not too much because I had chat.
Okay, it's amazing.
Okay.
Whenever you have a second, and this is a big shout out to new players, if you look above the toolbar at the bottom, there's that little tiny orange button. That's the help panel. If you go into that panel, not only does it lay out like everything in the game, it has screenshots, it has videos in a lot of cases, like showing them dragging gems and explaining how the linking works and what the different spells do and what it is incredibly good information. Not only that, the Pillars of Exile Reddit and the forums have guides, helpful people. Like another reason I never actually played this game was because I felt the same way. It looked too overwhelming. I didn't feel like I had 50 hours to learn what I was doing, right. Especially after seeing the skill tree. So definitely check out that help thing. It is clear that that GGG has spent a lot of time on it. So, and I can tell you as somebody who used it, just sitting down and reading through all. Oh, did I say Pillars of Exile?
Look, no, Dan was saying that for in the entire broadcast because PoE for a lot of people. Pillars of Eternity. right?
So pathways into eternity. It's the kind of, but yeah, it's really, really good. So if you are someone, okay, so the 2 shout outs for this game I like to do. A, it's free to play. If you don't know that, for anyone watching, you can just download this game right now for free on Steam. Doesn't cost you a penny. And then definitely use the help function, because it is really, really well done. It's not just like a wall of text. Like it lays everything out for you.
Yeah, that's really good to hear, Ko, too, because it's brand new, so we haven't kind of seen the impact that will have yet. But this is like the first time in the game's history that actually has a tutorial, just to give you an idea. Like, the game has never really been very beginner friendly. There's a lot of content there, and like JP said, it can just kind of hurl all this stuff in your face. There's always that moment. We love watching highlights of it as experienced players when new players open up the passive skill tree and zoom out, and they're like, "Oh,
yeah."
Dude, I had seen the thing on JP's stream. He actually showed it to me. He zoomed out and looked at. So I looked at it, but here's what was crazy. I didn't realize that every single node was meaningful. I thought that like a lot of those little connector nodes were just like spend points to get to the big ones. So then when I was streaming for the first time, I like zoomed in and started looking at this shit, and I was like, wait a second. Every one of these can matter, like even the little ones, and where you go with and like I definitely had this little moment where like the breath left you, whoa, this may be bigger than I thought it was. So that's been fun.
Yeah, I'm pulling up an example of it real quick, but Zeke, I started jerking off the game before I even talked to you. So we'll go back to, I was just talking nonstop about how good it was while I was trying to bring you into the conversation, and then just forgot to bring you into the conversation.
Listen. And there's a few people in the chat. Whoa, go back.
No, just keep watching.
It was on the screen there. Okay, wow. What?
Yeah.
And every single one of those little square or little circles is like, some of them are huge. One of those things, one of them can completely change in some cases how you play your character. So like, for instance, there's a node on the bottom that makes it so all the evasion on your character turns into armor. So it's like you could completely spec a character that way. There's another one that does something to your shield so it never regens, but well, actually I don't know how that one works. But the short answer is like just one of those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of nodes can completely make a build work or not work. So right. It's wild. A lot of them, of course, are just like, add 4% life, give crit and weapon damage, stuff on the way to the big ones. But there's a huge amount of big ones.
Even those towards end game, though, like getting a skill point at like 70 plus, like 4% of life or attack speed.
It's like the difference between getting one shot and living in some cases.
Yeah, like it's a big deal.
Here's my question to someone who's never played it. Do you think that's a selling point, or it's... Because I look at that and I go, that's pretty daunting I mean, and this is without knowing anything about it, without knowing what the nodes are, like how much of that shit is like passive abilities that you don't have to worry about.
It's all passive. That's the thing. Every single thing you just saw in that was passive. Active abilities, what you cast in the game and what you use, that's an entire different system. That's socketing gems into your equipment.
Yeah.
So what that big skill thing is basically it adds passive bonuses to your character, or in some cases change how some of the things in your characters work, or may add functionality to some of the things your character does.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, by the way. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. I just my major point was, for someone who doesn't play ARPGs like ever, I played less than 30 hours of Diablo, and I look at that and I go, that's pretty fucking daunting if I want to just jump into it my very first time. To an ARPG. I'm just wondering, like, that's probably just marketed to people who love that shit. They look at that and they go, it's like a forest of like candies. Like, look at all these candies that I can have, and they're all different candies.
Sure. Yeah, Ziggy, I'm interested to hear your idea before me and Ko answer.
Yeah, so from my perspective, that's definitely the case. Like, this is like, we're going to give you so many tools to play with here to make your perfect dream build exactly how you want to make it. And that is marketed to a specific type of player. However, the game, though, is very playable if you just follow a build guide. And that's not something that the devs really communicate very well, but the game is deep enough and challenging enough for a new player that even if you follow a very good, very laid out point-by-point build guide of how you make your character, in a lot of games that would ruin it, right? Like if you followed a step-by-step walkthrough in another RPG, the game would be ruined for most people. But in this game, if you follow a guide for your character, there's still so much to engage you in the actual core game that level of that dauntingness can be taken away, and you can kind of just like even enjoy it casually, an hour or two at a time. So it does have that availability. But yeah, it's definitely marketed at, people that are like, wow, that candy.
Right.
And on that note, Zeke, you know what? This is something I talked about a little on my stream, and I kind of hope someone from ZiggyD is watching, because get this. What they need is in that big passive skill tree, they need to have a drop down in the top left. And what it does is it's some basic predefined builds, maybe with a little lore behind them, maybe with a little bit of, mix up. And they do that based on your class. And then when you select one of those, it highlights all the nodes of that build. So you can see on the skill thing as a brand new player, like what this would look like. And then maybe like different sections would have a little tooltip pop up, like this gives a bunch of mana and damage. This gives a bunch of other stuff. So it'd be the kind of thing where a new player could do it, but experienced player would just turn it off. They'd never use it. But for a brand new player, they could see like, okay, what is it going to look like at the end? Like, and again, these are not builds that anyone would ever like use. These are not techie builds. These are like, basic ranger, basic ranged attack, melee with a lot of damage. Just real basic stuff. And that way they could kind of easily they could feel out their way through it and still have an idea what they're doing. And then when they get to the end, GG would make it clear, like, now that you understand the system, go make a better build than this.
No, no.
No?
Don't make it easy. Don't make it easy.
I think it would
You
definitely.
make it easy. It's a.
I think Co's
Okay.
solution would definitely be a great way to onboard new users into the game. But I think an even better way that GG wouldn't even have to fuck with is have a drop down, kind of like how so one of the things in the game, Zeke, and for those that don't play, is a loot filter, right? And these loot filters will literally, any loot that drops, it'll go through the loot filter before it pops up on your screen to see if it's even worth picking up or see if it's even worth showing on your screen, right? And so if they took something similar to that system where you could import builds into the skill tree, so then it just showed you if you're following a build, hey, put it here, close this. Hey, you upgraded, put that thing there, close it. And if it was just like a data string that you just copy and pasted into the game, it'd be great. I think that would be a easier system that that GGG wouldn't even have to deal with. That the community would have to do.
That's a good idea, because I actually have a new system where you can plot out, and coming in this expansion, it's not released just yet, where you can like right-click nodes to like highlight them for pre-allocation, and maybe with that they could extend that system in that direction. I like that idea.
Yeah. But the other thing I will say about this game, it is a game for the hardcore, I think, at the end of the day. I think it's very approachable to jump in and kill things, but like to understand all the systems in the game, Zeke, it took me a lot of like, all right, chat, explain this. Explain what the fuck this is about. And then it was chat saying, 500 lines with 400 different opinions on what should be done, right? Because everyone has like their way or the best way in their minds of doing something within this game, which is kind of cool that there's that much variety and that much diversity and ways to approach all of it.
Well, it's like having a nice chicken breast, and then you ask 1,000 chefs what to do with it.
Sure, exactly. Yeah.
Like, no, don't add salt.
And
no, pepper's best.
a perfect example, while it'll be a little bit technical, the character that I'm playing is kind of like it's a mage, mostly elemental damage character. And the guide that I was following tells you to go necromancy as like an ascension, which is kind of like a second skill tree type deal that you unlock later on in the game. And probably the number one thing that I've gotten while streaming the game is, why the fuck are you necro? Just nonstop every single day, like every 10 lines is, why the fuck are you playing necro? You should change that. And finally last night, the build after like 25 hours started to synergize. And the idea, I could finally answer like, I'm necro because of this.
And what is it?
Do what?
What, and what's the reasoning?
The reasoning is Bone Offering, which is an ability that buffs your pet's casting time and defense, synergizes with the Necromancy Ascension because it gives those buffs to you as the caster. And so then you have those those skills linking with your helm that you wear in the build that auto cast on any spell cast over 100 mana. So it automatically casts all that shit right when you cast. So you're just constantly buffed with this defense buff as well as a little bit of cast speed. But it took me 25 hours to get that synergized and realize it, because otherwise I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm necromancy. Like, I have no idea. It's the guide said to do it. I assume there's a reason. I can't give you the answer. Chat will have to tell you why, and then we'll figure it out together. But yeah, 25 hours into the game, I felt like last night my character actually started feeling powerful.
So what is the worst class and how can I play it?
I don't know if they're like. I feel like
Going
the,
completely blind as a scion.
What are you doing? And no, I want to do the worst synergy ever. Like
Here's the thing, Zeke. If you want to play the worst you can and hinder yourself the absolute most, do what I'm doing.
probably, yeah.
okay.
I'm serious. Don't use a build guide.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not using a build guide?
Nope. I'm making my own build. And here's the thing. Later, and mark my words, you can watch this show a week from now, 2 weeks from now. I will regret it. But it's great right now. And I'm learning the game and I'm having fun with it. And I'm definitely planning on potentially re-rolling down the road and figuring out what I'm doing. But I'm having a blast. Like taking it slow, just moving through it, listening to every single character and what they say, reading the lore, not speeding around, and it feels like a single player RPG. Like it's just a lot of fun. So, and at the same rate, you just do whatever you want to do. You get a cool weapon, cool, I'll start using this. All right, cool. It doesn't go with my build, but who cares? It's a cool looking weapon. I'll just start using this. So, I mean, it makes it a lot less like, oh, I need to make sure this point goes here and this point goes here. And oh, let me tab out and check my guide real quick. Oh, let me tab it. Okay. Like it doesn't feel like a job when you do it this way. You're just like,
You can definitely approach it. There's
let me
tons
ask
of ways to
Ziggy,
approach
do you even need a guide anymore, or you just have this all by heart?
Oh, I still follow other people's builds sometimes, or look to other people's builds for inspiration when I'm creating my own. Like, definitely I have the experience now when a new skill comes out, I can plan my own build from scratch and, and trying to make new builds out of combinations of things. But everything in the game, this is why I tell people not to worry about following other people's build guides, because a lot of that knowledge that you come from to build your own characters is a combination of things that you've taken from other builds. I'm going to take this bit from this build and this bit from this build, and you put them all together and, make yourself something new. And it's like, it's an iterative process, this whole thing. Like, your next build will be better in these ways from these lessons you've learned from your previous one. So, yeah, no, even still today, I'll research for a build by looking at a whole bunch of different builds and then a whole bunch of like semi non-related builds that might have elements that I could cherry pick. So,
Yeah.
even still today.
Ziggy, do you find yourself over the years kind of sticking around a set of core build principles that you come up with, or do you find yourself like dramatically changing your build all the time?
So I don't stick to one kind of. There's two ways to answer this question. I don't stick to just playing bow characters and trying to optimize those or anything like that. You can definitely do that. Stick with one thing. Like, I really love this style of play, and then optimize it over the years. And some people do that, and they're fantastic at that particular niche. Like, some people might be known for really playing a trapper, where you throw out traps and catch the enemies, with those explosions and things like that. So, but there are certain principles that you'll take. Like, you want kind of to check off this checklist of, for this sort of play style, I'll probably need this amount of life. And for this sort of play style, I will need to deal with how I'm going to sustain my mana. So I'm either going to need some mana leech or some mana regen or something else to solve that problem. Maybe I go blood magic so I can cast off my life instead. So there are kind of these core principles you can apply to every build, and you go work through this checklist of all right, does it meet these kind of mandatory minimums of what I'm looking for, and then you kind of get to add in your flair from there.
Cool, very cool.
Yeah, Ziggy, how many quote builds do you think are viable out there? That's a question we're getting a lot in chat. Like with so much open-ended choices to make in a game like this, especially when you look at that skill tree, how many are viable in your eyes?
So there's probably this is the word viable is the curse of our community, man.
Sure.
Because it's such a useless word to describe builds in this game, and I get it, because from other games there might only be for each class 3 viable builds at endgame, right? Or 3 even good builds. But in this game there are probably dozens of insanely overpowered builds, and then hundreds of good builds, and then thousands upon thousands of viable builds, builds that can get to and do endgame content. If you wanted to call that viable, there would be thousands of builds that can do that. And then there's probably many more thousands of builds that are would get stuck somewhere in leveling and wouldn't, with the amount of kind of like combinations of passive skills and gear that you have available. There's probably thousands of combinations of things that would get stuck somewhere, but
Right.
there is so much kind of variety in that.
Now, is there a way to? And when you say all these, like you've tried out all these builds, does that mean like? Because I'm totally clueless. Okay, does that mean you go all the way through the game, and you're like, that was a good build, and then you go back to the beginning of level 0, whatever, and then do a completely other build, or do you like wipe your stuff with some sort of like wipe your skill tree and then just reallocate
Respec.
points?
Yeah.
Respect.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nearly always, when you want to make a new build, as in like a substantially new build, you'll make a new character. And the game supports that because the suggested play league or style is the challenge leagues, which are 3 months long. So that's enough time to make for most people to make a couple of different builds or several different builds, or like the hardcore players to make, a dozen different builds in that time. And then a fresh wipe comes along. All that stuff gets moved over to the standard league, which is like the legacy of the game. And then the new league comes out with its new features and things like that, and it's a chance to remake a new character. So even if you only play casually, you might start a character, take it through over the course of 3 months, play it through to end game, be like, okay, that was fun. I want to try something different, and then by that time, a new league comes out and you try something new. The game does have a respec system. It's done point by point on the passive tree, and it involves currency that you find as drops in the game. So there's a financial investment within the game system, not like a microtransaction or anything like that. That allows you to respec your character, but that can be quite expensive to respec a character that's high level, for example. So typically you'll roll new characters.
Co, you were going to ask
Very
something
cool.
right before that?
Oh, no, I don't even remember.
Okay.
I think it was something along the lines of what Zeke was saying. So we're good.
Gotcha. Pulled up
Got
a little
a
bit
general question if we want to go that way yet.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, this is Ziggy's Dark Pack Berserker stuff, which I was, in comparison to mine, you can see it's much, much faster and much more honed in, I would think. I would say is probably the best way to say it. You can watch how fast he clears while we're sitting here talking. But, Co, your question?
Well, what I was going to say is, Ziggy, first of all, I'm sure a lot of people are watching this right now and they're like, okay, I want to try this. So the first thing I'd suggest is, do you have any builds that you'd recommend for starters? And then another question, kind of a follow-up, is if you are trying to make a successful build and you don't want to follow a guide, do you have any tips for those people?
Yeah, for sure, man. I can answer those questions. So there's a few ways of approaching the game. I think for most people these days, following a good starter build guide. So you either like Google, path. So what the current patch is 3.0. So if you Google Path of Exile 3.0 builds, you will be able to come up with a lot of those on YouTube and in the forums. Typically is where you'll find these guys. And I do suggest for most people following that, you can definitely take what you're doing, Co, and explore, like try a bunch of different skills, try a bunch of different items and things like that, and explore that way, find the playstyle you like. And that's not even a bad idea to do that first. As long as you're kind of willing to accept the fact that character's probably going to get stuck somewhere. And that's why I liked when you heard, you're like, yeah, I'm probably going to reroll at some point, but for now I'm having fun with this, which is, I think, a pretty good approach. So that's not a bad way to do it, to like play a bunch of different skills and you're like, I really like this skill that I picked up, Freeze Pulse. This is really fun. I wonder if there's builds around this. Then you can look for some build guides for that. And yeah, there'll be some solid builds out there for that. And you may be able to play one of those. But yeah, I could rattle off, if you would like, I could rattle off some starter builds that I would suggest for brand new players for this current patch if they want to jump in and try it right now.
How about just 3 or 4 off the top of your head?
Yeah, sure. So a really popular skill at the moment is Sunder. It's where you slam the ground with a weapon and it creates like a cascading of stone that then ripples off of the enemies and explodes everything on the screen. It's very popular, so Sunder builds in 3.0, particularly as Gladiator, which I like to call Glunder builds, but that hasn't really caught on yet. So if you search...
It doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
Just under 10K people here. Glunder. Let's get it going.
Get it going.
Glunder build.
For those
Glunder.
For those that want to see a
Hashtag
build,
Glunder.
for those that want to see a build using that, that's what Shorty Guy is currently using.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So Gladiator Sunder is very popular right now, and with good reason. It's very strong. It's pretty beginner friendly. It's very easy on gear, and those are the things you're looking for, right? Often, if you search just League starter build, as in these are the builds that we suggest you start the league with, and that's a lot of streamers and YouTubers and people on the forums will make builds with that kind of like text league starter. It's because it doesn't require any gear to get started, and in a fresh league you don't have any gear, so those are really optimized towards new players because you're starting out from fresh and they should get you started. So those are the sorts of things you're looking for. So the Glunder builds good choice. It's gonna catch on, damn it.
It's gonna catch on.
Right here, come on, don't leave me hanging.
There we go.
Am I on the right side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough,
You got it.
whatever.
You got it.
Don't worry, that was just about as awkward as it would have been in real life. So
Yep.
We're good.
Can't confirm. We're really bad at those. So we've got Glunder. What else? What
Yep.
what do we do? Kind of like a ranged. What's a ranged like roguish type build?
Roguish type build. Oh damn.
Like a bow.
Yeah.
A bow build. Is
And
there
if
any
you
good
go
bow
to like a
build?
Yeah.
specific, feel free to like builds built around a few things.
Yeah.
Like that. Too.
Yeah, I'm not like happy to throw out for beginners a bow build at the moment. In terms of balance at the moment, I'm like not keen on that. You can definitely do it, but
Yeah.
it's not one of the top 3 I would suggest right now. But there's plenty of ranged spells which play very nicely. I put up a build guide recently for a Scorching Ray character that people have been really happy with. So that's like basically a giant fire laser you spin around with. So you could find that on my YouTube. I recommend that. It is screen ranged, so kind of ranged build with a spell. So that's a decent option. But yeah, bows. Sorry, Ko. Bows are a little bit.
Oh, it's
They
cool.
just-
You know, I'm here to change hearts and minds. So it's we're good.
They're
give me
good
like a
at
month.
end game. They're good at end game. They're just difficult to level. And as a new player, I could see getting pretty frustrated playing as a bow build.
I've been warned Act 4. I've been told
Yeah.
like if you make it to Act 4, expect it to get rough. So we'll see how it goes.
I was
How
playing in
many-
the beta recently, and as a bow character, leveling, and I was just like, even with my experience, I'm like, God, this is painful.
How many how many classes, core classes are there?
7.
Like starting
1, 2,
core.
3, 4, 5,
There's
6,
I think
7.
6 and then Scion, which is like
Yeah.
a hybrid of all the classes.
Yeah, which is kind of like the more you technically don't unlock Scion until you've played the game for a while. So you actually find her in Act 3, and that's because she's
Cool.
kind of like a slightly more advanced, less intuitive character. She's smack dab in the middle of the tree and can do kind of like a bit more flexibility, but is maybe not as inherently good. So that's
Now,
kind
are
of an option.
all 7 of them pretty decent once you figure out the game?
You've got, by the way, Zeke, if you're wondering, Witch, Duelist, Ranger, Marauder, which is like a big two-handed user, Shadow, and Templar.
And this is
no wizards. Where's my wizards?
Witch
Witch-
is kind of your spellcaster.
Oh,
But
okay.
remember, something big about this game,
Elementalist?
though,
Yeah.
is abilities are socketed into your equipment.
Right,
So,
yep.
and all abilities require is certain stats. So theoretically, as long as you meet the stat requirement, you can basically do whatever you want. And
Oh,
then, of
really?
course, if the stuff chains together, then you can not only up the power of those skills, but in some cases completely change how they work or function. So
Okay.
it's like two systems in parallel, the passive tree and then your active abilities. And you kind of, the real art is in synergizing those two systems.
Wait,
My-
can I hear the expert talk, please?
my character.
No, I completely get it, man. Once you're into something, you're like, I just want to tell the whole world about this new thing that I found.
Yeah.
And it makes me so happy to hear that. To like hear you guys talking about the game has been like bringing tears to my eyes. Oh my god.
No, dude, I'm just shitting on you.
excitable.
I've done the same thing, man. I'm just like, I've been playing this for like 20 hours when people are like, I've got 3,000, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
This character on screen right now is a marauder, so what Ko described as the big beefy two-handed guy. I'm playing him as a spellcaster. It's definitely viable to play these classes as like what you would consider to be off-classing, because they're all in the same passive skill tree, and you can travel around to various things, and there can be even advantages to that. For this spellcaster, I'm using a spell, Dark Pact, that sacrifices your own life in order to deal damage. So I picked the big tanky guy that I could stack a bunch of life with because it deals extra damage based on how much life you sacrifice. So the more life you have, the more damage you deal. So I've taken a blood magic marauder and turned it into a spellcaster that sacrifices his own life, and it's turning out pretty good. It was a little dodgy to level, but it's turning out pretty good now.
Yeah. What is the skeleton ability that you use on bosses?
So that's a Val skill. There was an expansion a while back, and this kind of like shows how new features get implemented over time. There was an expansion like a year or two ago now, probably like 2 years ago now, called Sacrifice of the Val, which brought these alternative skill gems, Val skill gems, and they're like a corrupted skill gem.
Okay.
And they're kind of like big finishing moves. You kill enemies to get souls for them, power them up, and then you get to use them like once and get a big single kind of power out of them. So for me, it summons an army of skeletons, and my spell will actually sacrifice my skeleton's life instead of mine, so I can use that on dangerous enemies.
Jesus.
It's like 3.5 years ago, apparently.
Gotcha. Interesting. I had no idea.
So, what keeps you coming back?
It's like, despite how long I've been playing for now, I've been quoting the 10,000 hour mark was like for the past couple of years now, so I'm probably more like closer to the 20,000 hour mark in this game, which is ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. It is crazy.
What a
So-
job.
Wait. How many hours? What'd you say?
Well, for a couple of years, I've been saying I'm about the 10,000 hour mark yet by my calculations, but
Yeah.
I'm probably way beyond that now because I've been saying it for a couple of years.
Okay.
So I've been playing this game for a shitload of time. And yeah, that's the question. Like, why do I keep playing it now? Am I a hardcore addict? Probably. But it's, despite how long I've been playing, there's still so much I don't know about the game. There's still so many things that I want to learn. There's still so many builds I want to try. Like, if I sat down for like an hour and wrote a list of combinations of builds and things that I'd want to try, I'd like be flipping the page over and I'm still writing and looking for more paper. There's just still so much to learn. And then every 3 months they add new content. Like every 3 months they add either a minor or a major expansion. A minor expansion will include a new challenge league and some balance changes, maybe some new skills and things like that. And then every 6th month after that, there's a major expansion like what we just had. So there's just like a constant, as much as I haven't been able to nail down my list of things that I want to do, they're always adding more stuff that I can do. So it's just
Totally.
combined with things like the developers being fantastic, like their engagement with the community is top tier. The game having like an ethical monetization model and just all of this stuff in the community, and now streaming the game as well. It's just kept me going for all this time easily.
Yeah,
That's
That's
something
it.
I actually wanted to ask you about. When you said ethical monetization,
let's talk
what
about
do you
that.
mean? Yeah, because it's free, right?
I'm curious to hear your guys' kind of impressions that have been playing the game as some new people joining the community. What do you? Because I've been around for a long time, and the monetization model's changed a little bit over time. But what are you guys' impressions of new people who have joined the game, of the monetization of this game? How do you feel as a new player? Have you felt like you needed to spend money?
That's a funny question. I think before jumping into it, the game's completely free. There's nothing that you buy is going to improve your character in terms of gear or anything like that. Things that you buy are basically cosmetic. You can buy different stashes, which are like space to store items. You can buy premium stashes, which is the equivalent of the auction house in this game, which is something I think we should definitely talk about because it's one of the more unique systems that I've seen in a game like this. And I hated it at first.
Unique.
Having played, it's fucking great. It's an amazing system. But yeah, the cash shop, I think maybe Co's probably the best one to talk about it because he's one of the suckers of the $480 pack that he bought in game.
Hey.
A little golf class.
Yeah. Co, tell me about your supporter pack.
Well, okay. Before you go on, I think if they followed that model where like the 1% at the top like pays for everybody else, ability to play the game, I like that.
Yeah, I think it definitely has like whales. You can the $480 pack. What'd you get with that, Co? You got a bunch of skins.
A whole bunch of customization skins from like every pack up to it. A couple T-shirts that they're sending me, and a whole lot of in-game currency.
Okay, and the currency is used for more things, more glamour.
Currency is used for like there's a plethora of items that you can get off the store, from footprints adjustments, portrait stuff, cosmetic armor all over the place, weapon graphics, different spell graphics, pets. You can buy different pets. You can buy things for your house. You have like a hideout / apartment thing that you can upgrade and get different functionality.
Have you seen the in-game hideouts, by the way, Co? Did someone tell you to check out the hideout of the
week? I have
only
just started.
Okay.
But I am very excited to test out that system.
I kind of want to show you what that can turn into, because I was blown away when I saw some of the hideouts of the week. Which are those?
You've looked at? Oh, good. I was gonna link you.
Yeah.
Hideout of the week.
Is there one?
I haven't seen like any high-end hideouts yet.
Okay.
So
we'll just here.
So hideout is like your your pad that you can furnish and shit, right?
Yeah.
Here's a hideout of the
Hold on.
week. Which starts out as you're on a fucking beach and you have a couple things you can move around. Here's a goddamn house.
Wait, what?
Which is kind of nuts.
Yep.
So wait, which hideout is this?
It's all built.
It doesn't even matter at this point. Like, you can't see what the original hideout is. But the hideouts are like really basic. They're just like an empty space that you can build things in. There's like a beach and there's like a inside kind of library thing. But all of this stuff is player placed.
I want to see if they have any of the newer ones.
So
out.
like, as far as building a hideout goes, that's all real money.
No,
No,
it's not. Oh,
Most of those are farmed in game. Like these masters that you run into, Forsaken Masters, which came from another expansion way back in the day. These guys kind of like roaming around. You'll run into them. They give you a little quest to like kill some monsters or do something or escort some mobs or something like that. And as you do that, you gain favor with them, which is just like they're kind of like points, and then you buy the hideout things off of them. There are some MTX hideouts you can get, like premium ones you can pay money for, but a lot of the stuff is available from those guys.
yeah.
Now, is it just pieces like a wall, a column, a pillar?
Yeah,
That you
they're just
get
all
from
little
these guys.
pieces. Yeah.
So Zeke, this is what it kind of looks like starting out, basically.
Okay.
Even much worse than this. But then these are all the different things that you can get for it. I'll show you. I'll open up my VOD real quick and show you
What does
my
it look
hideout
like
looks
starting out?
Let me show you real quick so you can
Okay.
see the progression.
Because what you just, it's like, this is what it looks like starting out. And I was like, that looks like where a dragon would sleep.
Right. That's not what it
Pile
looks
of
like
gold
starting
and
out.
money.
I think that was like the base of what they built
My current
on.
hideout is like a square, and it looks like
A beach.
it looks like an abandoned underground library. There's literally like papers and shit everywhere. The walls are disheveled. The stuff that I can buy from my like level 1 little guy is like everything's broken. Like you can buy, basically I bought a bed, right? And the bed icon that you can put down is just like a bed. But see, what's kind of cool is all the items you buy, there's like variants of each of them. So if I buy a bed from my renowned guy, then if I scroll the mouse wheel up and down, it goes through a bunch of different versions of that. So it's like I can pick something that fits my thing more. The only issue is, since I think it's like a level 1 dude, it's just a bunch of different ways that beds can be broken
Yeah.
instead of like a bunch of interesting beds. So, you can buy like chairs, tables, rugs, pillars, random decor items like groups of papers and things like that. And this is only from like the first level guy. And then you can put a bunch of those guys in your hideout. And then as you do quests for them, they actually level up. And then as they level up, I think it unlocks, Ziggy, I think it unlocks more stuff you can buy from them.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's another one of like a fully developed system kind of in parallel with all the other ones.
Zeke is someone, as you guys know, is someone who loves numbers that go up and different things to continue to expand on in terms of leveling them. This game has literally almost every single thing that you use in it has a level attached to it. So your abilities can be leveled 1 to 20. Your character is 1 to 100. You can take a piece of gear. You can take like a base piece of gear, right? Just the shittiest fucking piece of gear. And you can say, all right, I want to use this item to make this a rare item. And then it makes it a rare item. And then if you don't like that rare item, you can use another item to maybe change one of the things on that item to see if you can get it to roll better, right? So you can do like a billion different fucking things. And all of those things that you're using to change that item are the currency for the game. And so in terms of the currency, there's no like gold, right? There's no gold in Diablo or like Diablo or World of Warcraft or anything. It's based off of kind of I guess the penny of the game would be the Chaos Orb. Would that be a good example, Ziggy?
Yeah.
So the PoE.trade, which is a website, is the auction house of the game where you buy a premium stash in game, you list an item on there, it automatically puts it to the website, and then someone will message you in game and you have to physically trade the item to them when they join your party and you trade it to them. And then you get, that's how like the economy of the game is based off of, which is when you hear about it, it's like, why the fuck is there not an auction house? But then when you actually do it, you're like, oh, this is so much better than an auction house. It's weird.
That's really interesting to hear, like a new player impression of that, especially that it's like so positive, because trading has been a bit of a sore point for Path of Exile for a long time. Like we've never had really much support for that, and the community has developed a lot of tools to help with that, with some assistance from the developer. And I think like the developer's pretty happy with where it's at now, and there's definitely some like major quality of life stuff that needs to be done, especially on the buying side of things.
Sure, I can totally
willing
see
to try
that.
and contact people.
Yeah.
Yeah, like where you contact people in the AFK or something like that. So
Yeah.
things like that need to be improved. But that your impression is so positive is good to hear.
Keep in mind, this is someone that's used it for a total of maybe 5 hours, so I could totally see as someone who's 100 hours in and trying to get a fucking item from someone who listed it at a cheaper value and they're AFK or they're just not fucking responding to you. Totally see how that's fucking annoying. If you need this one particular item that has this one particular rolled stat on it and the guy's just not replying and you're just like, well, guess I'm going to go do some more maps.
I'm honestly kind of surprised this game doesn't have like a really well-made auction house. It seems like if there was a game that was going to have something, and not necessarily like, of course, no RMT or anything, but I just mean in-game, a way to facilitate trading between two people. It seems like this is just the perfect game for that. I don't know. But maybe they'll put something down the road.
Chad was saying that, and maybe Ziggy can speak to this, that the devs are actually pretty vehemently against putting in an auction house and have been for the entirety of the life of the game. I don't know why. I just know that they've made that statement.
About their reasons?
Yeah. Does Ziggy, do you know?
Yeah, so I've spent a fair bit of time even like talking to the lead developer about this. I've done some trips over to their HQ and kind of like done some content with them and things like that. But it ultimately comes down to the item acquisition process and how you acquire your items. And they're okay with the trade system being fairly efficient like it is now, but to make it super efficient and to not have player interaction is kind of something that's what they're against essentially. So whether you're acquiring all of your items off of trade or whether you're just acquiring some of them, and at the moment you're acquiring probably some to most of your items off trade at a certain rate. And if an auction house was super efficient, like where it's like instant buyouts and things like that, then that's kind of what they're concerned about. It's difficult to say what it'll be like whether they're going to change their minds in a couple of years. But my kind of personal stance on it at this point is that the current trading system, with a little bit more support and quality of life, is probably good enough for the game. Mostly just like better things so you can tell if someone's AFK and whether they do not disturb or something like that. So to make that sort of that process much smoother, because as you said, like for people who've been playing thousands of hours, those annoyances can become very annoying over time. So that sort of stuff being fixed would be enough. I don't really think we need like an instant buyout auction house system. This sort of system works pretty well currently. But with things like the ability to ship an item to someone across instances without needing to like go to their hideout and trade with them, that sort of thing could improve it. But an actual auction house brings with it necessary changes to to the drop rates as well.
Sure. Do you absolutely need to use the trade system, or can you get everything
Not at all.
Okay.
Well,
I haven't used it once.
It depends on what type of player you want to be, I would think, right, Ziggy? Because like Dan's Gaming is doing in his playthrough right now, he is not taking handouts from chat. He's not interacting with any other players, and he's completely playing through it solo. And his impression so far that I've seen, I haven't talked to him directly, but just word of mouth is that he's absolutely loving every fucking second of it and can't play enough of it.
I'm doing that exact same thing.
Yeah.
In chat right now, everyone's spamming SSF, by the way, with the haha face, and that's a meme from our community that is talking about there's actually a specific playstyle in this game called Solo Self-Found, and that's actually had support added by the developers recently, basically as an endorsement of the playstyle. Is like, this is a completely viable way to play. And that's basically where you're not allowed to party, you're not allowed to trade. Like the game actually stops you from doing any of that. So you completely solo, you completely self-found all of your gear, and people like to meme about it a little bit.
Oh, solo self-found.
Yeah.
Solo self-found, yeah.
Okay, and what does by the way mean? Like, what's the significance of that?
It's because people are like, I'm level 89 hardcore solo self-found, by the way.
It's like pride.
It's smug.
Yeah, it's ego.
Yeah, it's smug.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing.
I did all this by myself, and I drive a Prius and eat kale.
Zeke, the funny thing, at least
he did it the whole time with King Kong's dick in his ear.
Exactly.
That's right.
The funny thing in terms of streaming the game, where I was kind of the opposite of what Dan is, and I didn't realize there was like a stigma attached to it. But earlier on, probably when I was like 20 or 30, someone messaged me and said, "Hey, could you use this item?" And I looked at the item and I was like, "Gee, that's like 1,000,000,000 times better than what I'm currently using. Sure, I'll take it." And I hit trade and traded. He gave it to me, and I had more fun after that. Right? The entire chat was just like, "Fucking handout! What is this fucking handout shit?" Blah 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 blah. And it's because I got an item.
Did he get
Streamer
that too?
privilege, baby.
Streamer privilege.
Yeah.
baby.
Streamer privilege.
Yeah, and so like anytime that happens, I would think early on when I started playing the game, I would be like, I'd get a little defensive, and I was like, guys, I could have a really boring character and just have a shitty fucking character, or I could go on the opposite scale and have like a pretty fun character that's maybe a little bit more exciting to watch. And now I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't have taken those items because it is more fun just finding them. So I don't know where I sit on it.
Well, it's kind of interesting, Jake, because earlier you mentioned, and I couldn't agree with it more, that like gratification, where you get like that one little orb that's really cool before you log off, or a weapon upgrade or something. That's actually one of the reasons I don't want handouts, is because like at the beginning, someone, like I was looking to the guild bank, someone offered me this amazing bow, and it was my level and everything, and I saw how different in power it was compared to what I was like, and I was like, wait, if I took this bow, I would literally be jumping 5 to 10 items that would get me excited, but now it's just like, but none of them are this good. You know, so it's like every time you take one of those upgrades, you are literally removing a lot of the fun you could have from getting all those stage upgrades up to that item.
Yeah.
So
What is going on in the video right now?
You're
Oh,
showing a
shit.
Vaal Fireball build.
This
Oh my
is
God.
something that
Wait,
someone.
that's real? That's actual normal speed?
Yeah.
That's novel speed.
So there's a lot of things going on here, but this was shown to me when I first started playing the game, and I was just like, "What in the actual fuck is this game?"
yeah. Yeah.
Because I assumed that was like the speed of the game, and here I
No.
am just like, "Oh, hey, there's one skeleton."
Path of Osu, man.
Yeah. So Ziggy, if you want to explain a little bit what's going on here.
Yeah. Just to be clear, this is someone breaking the game, and even now this sort of playstyle has been nerfed quite a bit in 3.0. The devs are trying to bring this back in the line a little bit, but yeah, these sorts of like uber clear speed Vaal skills, which is what for quite a while people used to farm to level 100 as fast as possible. This is what it looks like when you break the game, and honestly, the goal of every action RPG is to find a way to break the game. That's
Sure.
like the developers encourage it, man. They're like, yeah, guys, if you can find a combination that breaks the game, good on you. We'll probably nerf it eventually if it's too broken, but otherwise, for the most part, they let us have fun with this stuff, and these sorts of play styles for even a couple of years were played. But yeah, this is I mentioned Vaal skills earlier. This is a Vaal Fireball build. So it's an uber powered build that charges as you kill enemies, and they build it to a point where they can charge it so fast that they can just spam it as much as they want, because they're killing so many enemies each time they use it. And then to do that, they stack like a bajillion, like a huge amount of move speed, so they can just move around very quickly. And that's the idea, is to move so quickly and kill so fast that you can endlessly spam a skill that you're only supposed to use like once every now and then, like once every minute or so. So that's kind of the idea behind that.
That's real cool.
Do you have any examples on your channel of the flicker thing? Because I think that would maybe be something. The flicker
No.
skill.
No.
Only because everyone is saying, I've never seen it. I just know that it's, quote, like the worst thing to watch.
Yeah, no, I would never. I've told my viewers this. I will never stream a Flicker Strike build, because it's basically, I don't want to give any of my viewers seizures. I would feel so bad if someone went to the hospital watching my streams.
Well, now I gotta
so it's
see
just
it.
Now
like
I
a
gotta
strobe
see
light.
it.
Hold on.
It's maybe not that bad, but to watch it for like extended periods of times is just like eye bleed. But yeah, it's a skill basically where you teleport and hit an enemy, and normally there's a cooldown, but you can bypass the cooldown with a certain mechanic. So people build characters that it is spaced around endlessly flicker striking. So it's like, so that's kind of the idea there. But there are some videos if you want to search for one.
Yeah, I'm going to try to find one real quick. What is this? Let's see if this works. It looks completely different from... That's the other thing, too, is I've noticed is that any person that I watch looks completely different from someone else. All right, so this is Flicker. It's basically just like erratic screen shaking as he fights the boss. He's fighting...
Screen intensifiers.
Yeah. Jesus, okay. I couldn't play that.
Nope.
Totally could not play that. That would hurt my fucking eyes.
Well, it's kind of relaxing.
Yeah, you'd be into that. And I assume that only gets
It's
crazier.
kind of relaxing, like a plane crash.
Yeah.
Like being in a blender.
I assume that
Yeah.
only gets crazier with the more people on there. So
Yeah, against a single enemy, it's not so bad. But when you're like literally teleporting a full screen away because there's monsters off the edge of the screen that you're teleporting to, that gets a
So
little
you
crazier.
teleport like magnetically directly to an enemy.
Yeah, it locks onto an enemy and teleports you.
Okay.
yeah. Ziggy, for you, just questions of favorites. What's been your favorite build in your kind of lifetime of playing the game? If you could go back to a singular build that you played once upon a time that's been
JP,
nerfed or something like that.
Favorite as in most powerful, or favorite as in most fun to play?
Favorite
Aren't
is
they
in.
the same thing?
I was gonna say that as well. I would say
Think there's
favorite.
some overlap.
Yeah, favorite is as in most fun to play for yourself.
Oh God. What has been the most fun to play? There's been so many good fun builds. I really loved Explosive Arrow. It's maybe a little worse today than it used to be, so not quite as powerful it was when I played it. But this is a skill where you'll stack a bunch of fuses in enemies with a bow, and then they'll explode. And just had a real satisfying playstyle where it's like you do no damage, and then there's a big bang, and everything dies. So that was like very satisfying playstyle. There was a Spark used to work differently to how it does now, where it would travel really fast and last a really long time. So this is a skill where you send out a little lightning crackle, just a little tiny little lightning crackle, and they travel around the screen. And there's a microtransaction you can get for it that turns it into a spider, so it crawls around. It's a little sparkly spider. And the way you used to build it was by stacking as much projectile speed and as much duration as possible. And I played a Scion based on that back in the day, and that was so fast, just running around and filling the screen with spiders. Was that one got nerfed a little bit, unfortunately, so that was very powerful and is much less powerful today. But that was definitely up there. Summoners in general are still as strong today, or even stronger than when I played my last summoner, and that's been one of my favorite builds too. Summoners in this game are incredible. Like, they really nailed the idea of having a minion build. I usually hate pet builds, right? I like to do the killing myself.
Right.
But pet builds in this game are just so active. You have so much that you can do. There's so many different skills. Like, they're the most active builds in this game. This game gets a bit of kind of memeing because of its 1 or 2 button skill builds, where you just hold down one to kill things. Like, I think you were talking about that the other day on stream, JP. Summoners, on the other hand, though, they can be some of the most active builds in the game, which is usually the reverse of what you'd think, where you're throwing out a bunch of these homing skull minions, and then resummoning your zombies or repositioning them and healing them and casting buffs for them and attacking enemies with a spell to encourage your enemies to attack that enemy and controlling the AI, and it's it's so good.
Watching
Right,
Dan play a summoner build has been a blast.
Yeah.
It pretty beginner friendly too to play a summoner like that nowadays, actually. Like, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that you can min-max and things like that can be a little confusing, but no, watching him play was a good example of wow, this looks pretty good for a new player.
Yeah, it was again, I think I said that earlier, but watching the different streamers play completely almost like they were playing a different game. Like, Shorty is the Sunder guy who's just constantly leaping everywhere. Mine's more mage based. Dan, like you said, is a summoner. Everyone's kind of got their own thing, and then you kind of go watch the quote pros at the game, the Mathels and the Ziggies and all those guys, and they're just on another fucking level when it comes to their builds, just flying around the map and doing everything that we're trying to do at a 10 times faster rate, and not having to ask chat every 5 seconds, hey, what is this? Hey, how do I do that? Hey, how much is this worth? What should I put with this? That's the other thing is it's been a fun experience. It was a little bit rough at first because you're just bombarded with so much information that people are trying to tell you that you don't even know how to filter through that. Is someone trying to stream the game, which if you end up playing Zeke, you might run into. But after a while, the chat was probably the sole reason that I stuck with it, because I was able to understand everything. And I think I was saying, if I didn't have the chat, I'd probably be using the help thing, but it would have been a little bit slower of an experience to learn it that way.
Just so we can just completely annoy a lot of people, can we never mention Gucci Hobo? Can we never like talk about it?
Yeah.
No, I don't even know what you're talking
Never
about.
mentioned
Okay,
one.
good.
Yeah,
Let's
you're gonna
not
trigger my
let's
fans.
not even talk about it.
Yeah, I lost my hearing for a second when he said something, so we'll just.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't even think he said anything.
Uh,
Vic.
Yeah.
Good. What? Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I asked you kind of what your favorite thing is, someone who's put so much time into the game. What's like the one thing that you wish would change that has always been there, that you've kind of always been a champion for, that necessarily won't be touched or hasn't been touched yet?
My thing up until very recently was immunities. Certain bosses and things were immune to certain things. And I felt like a really archaic game design that held on from Diablo 2 and a terrible way to balance things. And it's just like when you're playing a build and you get to a boss and it's immune to the main thing that you've built your build on, and you're like, you can't really change builds that easily in this game to be able to take that on. You're just like, okay, this is like one of the 4 major endgame map bosses that I've worked my way to. So I played a Viper Strike build in hardcore, which is a build that is melee, which you have to get right up in enemies' faces with. And it was a skill that was deemed to be not particularly good for building as a main skill. And I played all the way through the entire game hardcore, got up to the final tier of maps, and 2 of the bosses were immune to poison. And I was just like, that's not a fun way to like
That
to meet
sucks.
an end point for your build, right? But this patch they're removing immunities, so that was the thing. That was the thing I would have complained about. So now I got to find a new thing to complain about.
Yeah.
Wait,
But,
when you say
they
this
fixed-
patch,
they
do you
fixed-
mean 3.0?
Yeah, in 3.0. So they're removing immunities now because they're currently rebalancing the ailment system, and chat might meme about it because they're not quite finished with the balancing of it yet. It's a
Okay.
bit weak at the moment, but yeah, they're essentially removing those immunities.
So out of curiosity, you're saying remove like with an ing. Are they in the game or are they not in the game?
I think they're removed now, actually. I think they've already removed the immunities as of 3.0.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All
That's
right,
not-
just because my go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say that's not to say that Reflect has been removed, because I've found Reflect lightning mobs and it's a fucking nightmare when I'm across the screen and like just gonna drop an arc and okay, I'm fucking dead. What the fuck, man? Because arc is my ability is something that jumps from mob to mob. So if I hit it once, it jumps 7 times, which is enough of a pack. If they're all reflecting lightning damage, I just fucking die. It's the most infuriating thing. So that definitely sucked.
JP, I've actually been warned about reflect in large groups. I'm using a lightning arrow right now, so every enemy it hits all the enemies around it.
Right.
And it splits. So apparently they're like, if you do that right at a boss with reflect, and there's a bunch of little guys around it, you're dead.
Yeah, no,
That's
you
it.
just die.
So
yeah, it was really infuriating leveling. Me and Lyric and Shorty were grouped when we were leveling together, and they're just like fucking, jumping around and killing things at 10 times faster speed than I am, just because their build synergized a little bit earlier on, and then I'm just like fucking walking 30 seconds behind them, picking up the loot. Oh, there's a mob. Oh, it's fucking reflective to lightning. Let's just keep walking. Oh, I'll pick that up. Pick that up. It was really fucking annoying, but luckily it's gotten better. Zeke, you were gonna ask something?
Yeah, just because my curiosity's got the better of me, I want to know what's Gucci Hobo. What is it?
I thought you were on board, man.
No, I want to know.
He wants to know.
Okay, so the Gucci Hobo, which I have an emote based on, which was being spammed in chat and probably will be again, is a character challenge build that I made at one point where I basically said I wouldn't wear items unless they were unique, unless I found them myself. So both of those things. And, well, you might not find a unique for like a few hours maybe in the normal play, or maybe like an hour or something in. But the problem with that is that in order to get my first unique, I had to kill a bunch of things without wearing any items. So I basically was a naked Templar, which is the old man hobo-looking guy, running around Ray classed for about 10 to 15 hours, punching things naked until I finally got my first unique.
And what was it? Was it actually a good item? Was the first unique?
Not a very good item, but I mean, at that point, I was
Anything.
like, it was like finding some dodgy old toilet water when you've been walking around in the desert for 3 days without any water, right? And you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna drink this up.
Yeah, makes sense.
I was so happy.
Makes
It's
sense.
that old you give a starving man a cracker and it's like the best meal he's ever had.
Yeah,
exactly. I was going insane by the end of that Gucci Hobo action, but people loved it.
How many hours before you found it?
Oh, I think it was like 10 to 15 hours, I think, of just straight like punching monsters.
Okay. Can we just unpack that sentence real quick? You said 10 to 15 hours. There's a 5-hour fucking window. I mean, how long do you play this game and not realize that time is passing?
Zeke, 20 hours. Like I guarantee.
Apparently it was 24. Chat's telling me it was 24 hours.
Zeke, time is not something that factors in. The in-game clock of this game is turned off by default. I still haven't turned it on yet because I'm afraid of watching the time that much in-game as it just kind of drips away and just fucking goes. Like I played last night, started at 3 or 4 or something like that. Didn't eat dinner.
That's actually why they added the clock.
Yeah.
They added the clock in the game to help people with that.
It's nothing. It just every other obligation out the window in terms of nourishment, in terms of everything. It was just gone.
Here's the good thing for me then, because if I were to even pick this up, the reason why Final Fantasy has been perfect for me is because when I'm done broadcasting for the day, if I want to play offline, I don't want to sit at my desk anymore. I want to go and sit in my bed, in my bedroom. And Final Fantasy has awesome controller support. So that's why it works out for me, and that's why this one wouldn't.
I would think this is coming to Xbox, right? Ziggy, is that?
It is. I was just about to say, funny you should mention that because this game's coming back.
Shut up!
So, and I'm looking at how the skills are set up. You could probably map it to a controller and do okay.
You can even do some kind of cool thing where it's like the right stick is the direction of your attack and it auto targets.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, and by the way, Zeke, not that it matters, but each copy of PoE and the Xbox comes with a brand new, fluffy, really comfortable couch.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh god, Zeke, don't play this game. I'm telling you right now, do not play this game.
ARPGs have never really been my thing anyway. Because I played Diablo and I just liked it. I wasn't like in love with it. I get where the.
I just like Diablo 2 for the record.
That's all I played. I didn't play 3. I didn't play 1. I played Diablo 2
I did
for a little bit.
1 of 3 and it was okay.
Yeah.
But
this is different. This is way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So Ziggy, would you charge people to like if I were to say, hey, if I gave you blank dollars per hour to help me level and answer my questions and stuff, would you be open to something like that?
I would charge you for that.
I wouldn't ask you to do that for free. That's like asking
the
an
first
artist
taste
to make a painting
least.
for free.
No, just make it a YouTube series. Just make it Ziggy Teaches Zeke. Z and Z. The Z and Z series. You got 2 Z's.
Z and Z Exile Factory.
Z and Z do PoE. There you go. That's the video title.
This is right. So JP the showmaker.
You know what though? You know what's funny though, Zeke? And JP definitely nailed this. One of the best resources for this game as a streamer is going to be your chat.
Yeah.
And I can almost guarantee you, if you do choose to ever stream it, the first time you stream it, you will see a large amount of your regulars that you see every day go, oh my God, Zeke is playing PoE. I have X hundred of hours in this game.
That was so true, man.
It's incredible how many people that you probably talk to on a daily basis that would love to help you, answer your questions, help you with builds, and they're all already there.
Yeah. That's actually what I did. I might have said this earlier, but when I started the game, people were like, what builds are you going to play? And I didn't... the people that I was playing with had like a week or so to like decide on a build, to look at all the different types of builds out there and figure it out. And I just jumped in the game and was like, well, I guess I kind of want to play a caster. So I picked Witch, and then chat was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to name something that I played in Diablo 2, and you're going to tell me that class in this game. And so I said, I wanted to play a Charge Bolt Sork, which is what I played back in the day, which is kind of okay. It wasn't the best, but I enjoyed just seeing things get electrocuted very quickly. And they're like, all right, you need to play this. You need to play Arc. It's not the best build, but it'll be okay. Here's a link. And that's, 25 hours later in a 48-hour time period, I was still playing the fucking game. Like, it was ridiculous.
And JP, how do you like your build?
Like I said, last night it finally synergized, so I feel like I'm actually progressing.
So it just got good.
Yeah, well, it wasn't bad. Like, I could still kill things, right? But it was just the rate at which I killed things was so slow. And now the rate is... My survivability and my damage went up like 5 times what it was in the course of like 3 items.
Wow.
So
And that's been your experience with what I would call to be a middling skill. So that's a skill that's kind of like middle of the road in terms of power. It's like pretty easy to play as a new player because it's auto targeting, but it's kind of middle of the road in terms of power. And you've had a pretty good experience with it. So, there's definitely like stronger skills out there that you might have a better time with if you want to take the time to look up a beginner's guide or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I definitely had the thought when I woke up this morning, like now that build like synergized and I understood it and I understand the game was like, so what would my second character be? And I don't know if I want to go down that path just yet, but it's definitely like, if I were to make another character, would I go, what would I play? I don't know. We'll see. I have been playing this game way too much though, but there's other games out there, unfortunately, that we need to play. But
it's a good time to play this game right now. It's a good time.
Yeah,
it is the best time to jump into this game. It's like a lot of games that have been out for ages and have established communities and things like that. I'm totally on board with just it not feeling good joining those sorts of games. But this is one that is definitely a great time to jump in now. I mean, you're not really like having not played the all of the other versions of the game up till now is not going to really be a big deal. You're going to enjoy the game a lot now. And like I said, if you guys had played the game last expansion, I think you probably would have quit before you got to the second difficulty playthrough. And now you guys are playing through to endgame, which is like incredible. And that's just I think shows that the game has really hit its moment where it can have broader appeal for a lot of people to actually try it out.
I think for me, the game hits that itch of things are dropping and they're dropping frequently enough to where the what's the chemical in your body that is happiness? Not melatonin.
Them endorphins.
Yeah, the endorphins are kicking in every single time like a fucking ding goes off and you see a unique or you see a fucking orb or you see anything over there and you're like, oh God, I could do a lot of stuff with that. It happens so frequently that it just is it is drug-like, without a doubt. That's why I was saying, Zeke, don't play this game. As someone who knows how bad you're in with Final Fantasy right now, this is about 30 fucking times worse. It is great.
No game. I'm generally like fairly reserved in terms of my reactions to games. Like I'll just sit there and kind of play without like really reacting. Like I'm having a good time, but I don't really, have any physical reactions. But no game has ever made me like jump out of my chair and cheer, and then at a different time make me slide out of my chair and out of like just this feeling of like, oh my God, what has happened? This is terrible.
Yeah.
As much as Path of Exile,
without a doubt.
Like there's a GIF out there called Ziggy Melt, which is just me like melting out of my chair because of this like death that I had in hardcore.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Hardcore just seems like such a different beast, as it usually is in these type of games. But it'd be fun to definitely do like a streamer hardcore group where everyone plays together, like a group of 5 people, and we just see who dies first. Strippin's done a lot of stuff with that in the past in Diablo 3, so it might be fun to do in this one for sure. But yeah, that's Path of Exile in a nutshell.
Mirror drop?
Do what?
Mirror is like winning the lottery IRL. Basically, the same chances of getting this item in Path of Exile. It's the rarest currency that you will never see, and I did actually have one drop. I think it's expected you might get one. Yeah.
My stream was freaking out about that. I got one of those in like the thing that dupes the item.
You're lying. I don't believe you.
What?
I tried, Dad. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
he almost jumped across the Skype call. Tackled you out of your fucking chair.
What is a mirror, by the way? What does that do?
It is an item that, so you know how like duping is a problem in games? Well, this is an item that allows you to dupe another item. So you can take the best rare in the game and then create a copy of it with this. So
one-time use,
it is
or how many?
Potentially as good as the best item. Pardon?
Is it
one-time use?
Oh, one-time use. Wow.
It's basically like the best item in the game of your choice.
Yeah.
So it's like you can find whatever fits exactly what you want to do, and then you can just find someone that has it, and boom, you got one.
Yeah.
So.
Man,
So I got one.
that's like an evil thing is for the developers to put in the game. Like, you can't dupe in our game, but we'll give you an item where you can dupe once, and it's incredibly fucking rare. How much for the, I guess, the PoE heads? How much is a mirror worth in Chaos? Do you know? Are you gonna pull up PoE trade?
I'm pulling up PoE trade.
Okay,
I can give you an accurate to the minute price of what it might be
Boom.
worth.
Let's hear it.
I'll tell you in standard. Here you go. I want to buy a mirror for Chaos Orbs. Let me find out. Oops, nothing was found. There's no mirrors currently available, apparently.
Oh, they're that rare? Jeez. I guess because you
let
probably
me-
wouldn't want to sell them, right?
Yeah, chat would have to tell you. Chat might know.
Chat's saying like a few thousand. Jesus, a few thousand?
Yeah, a few thousand Chaos. That sounds about right.
Put that in
200
example to people that don't play the game. My best in slot staff, just the staff itself, was like 11 Chaos Orbs. And this thing sells for a couple thousand. So that's how rare.
Why
it
don't
is.
you just buy the item you want to dupe?
Yeah, right.
No, am I stupid?
No, I exactly. I agree with you.
Here's the thing. Like, people will buy it, and I'm sure it's like a big deal when you get to that far in the game. But it's more something that you just happen to very rarely stumble across. Because from what I understand, like, it's not necessarily a boss drop item, right? It's just an exceptionally rare item.
Yeah, you can get it off the first zombie on the first beach, and that has happened before probably. Where a player finds a mirror on the first thing, they're brand new, and they're like, "Oh, what does this do?" And they use it on a random blind item.
Jesus,
Like that's probably happened.
Yeah, someone in chat
It
said
can drop anywhere.
Someone in chat said one mirror is 200 exalts. One exalt is 80 chaos orbs, so it's 16,000 chaos orbs right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Are there any items that are worth? There's items that are worth more than it, right?
Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? So, in order for there to be items worth mirroring, there has to be, in order for the mirror to function, there needs to be items worth mirroring. Those items are worth more, and they take more currency than that to craft potentially to get like a perfect item. Like every single perfect stat is maybe not even achieved. I think there might be like one item that I saw recently was crafted that was literally perfect on every stat, but there's items that are like 0.1% off and things like that, and people invest huge amounts of currency into crafting those.
It doesn't copy the gems too, does it?
No.
Not the gems
It'll
in
copy
it.
the sockets.
Yeah.
It'll copy the sockets, yeah.
So
That you put the gems into.
is someone who's playing along and working his way through maps and stuff, when you hit level 100, which still hasn't happened yet in the new thing, I think they're like 98 or 97 right now. For another stat that might blow y'all's mind, level 97 is halfway to level 100 in this game. And I've put in like 30 hours to get to 76. So that's a good example of what level 100 represents in a game like this.
Yeah, don't go to 100 as a new player. Don't be like, I'm gonna rush to max level and then I'll be at endgame. That's not how Path of Exile works.
Oh, someone hit a level 100 today in hardcore. I didn't realize.
Oh,
that.
did they?
Yeah, that's what chat's
Oh, I
saying.
didn't realize. Oh, steel. Yeah. Okay,
So
cool.
is that kind of like
Awesome.
is that the end of the game? Basically, hitting 100. Is that where you roll up a new character no matter what because you're a god?
I mean,
Well, no. Then you have
yeah,
to finish
probably.
your build with all
If
the
you
perfect
hit
items
100.
and max skills and everything.
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
for some people they're like just perfecting their characters. But so that's the thing. Like Path of Exile is kind of a sandbox game. Like it has a storyline and quests and things that you play through. But in terms of what you actually do in the game and what your goals are, it is very much a sandbox. So what is your like point? What is your winning the game? That's kind of up to you to decide. Some people play the market. Some people try to make a perfect character. Some people just try to make as many different builds as possible to try lots of different play styles. Some people specifically want to be first to 100. Some people want to specifically beat a boss first. So he recently had, the world first in this league hardcore Shaper kill, which is like the end boss. So people like racing for that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of different like things you can try and do in this game.
Gotcha. This is a labyrinth, which is kind of like, what would you equate the labyrinth to? Like a challenge mode, maybe? Not really. I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, it's a gauntlet of traps followed by a series of boss fights, and you do it in order to ascend your character to unlock basically like a prestige class beyond your starting class. So it's you run through all these different traps, and then there's lots of different loot and things like that in it, and you fight this boss that I'm fighting right now on screen, Azaro, and once you defeat him, you unlock your extra powers. Is this my mirror drop video?
Yeah, everyone.
I actually was just watching this on a new. That's why I had my hand over here. I was watching it on a different tab.
Yeah.
And just to hear the. You ever see someone who gets exactly what they want?
My face goes so red. I like go bright orange in this video.
So have
So
you used
good.
it?
What the fuck?
Well, this is from another
what
patch,
the
right?
fuck?
Yeah, this is from an older league. Yeah. Oh, I didn't use it to mirror an item. I sold it for a shitload of money and then invested that money into multiple things. Instead of getting like one perfect item, I'm gonna get 1 billion great items.
Wait, what do those
smart.
stack to, or does it just stack to 10? Obviously, you're never going to stack those to 10 on a
I don't know
character,
how many mirrors are in a stack, JP.
but- No, it says
At
stack
that
size
many.
is 1 of 10. That's why I was curious what
Okay,
it stacks to.
You can have 10 in a slot.
So
It's never been a problem for me.
Well, I only
Quick
got
question.
7, so it's at least that.
That's my goal, guys. I'm going to get a 10 stack of mirrors.
when you were talking about the wipe, does that wipe all the stuff you have, including like that mirror?
So everything gets moved to the standard league, which is basically like the eternal league. Everything eventually goes there, and nothing ever gets wiped from there. So you can keep playing your characters if you want to, and you can keep using all of that stuff. It just gets moved to that league, and a lot of people do play in standard, but
No,
for
I-
most
I
people, you play the
mean-
challenge leagues.
No, that makes absolute sense to me because I used to play Magic: The Gathering from time to time.
Yeah, same deal.
And yeah, it would like have like every year they would have like, this is what we're playing now. There's legacy shit that you can play, tournaments and stuff, but the new shit is what we're doing in this tournament.
Perfect.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah, cool. I don't know. I just want to play more Path of... Did we sell you on it, Zeke? Or are you intrigued? It's not your... Okay.
I mean, I'm intrigued, but this is definitely not up my alley.
I didn't think it
As
was.
far as it's too much keyboard mouse stuff and not enough Cheetos and bedtime stuff.
Okay. I'm curious for those in chat that haven't played this game, how many are downloading it right now? Because is a free-to-play game. I would say like just it's 7 gigs. It's 7 gigs of bandwidth to play the game, and that's all it is. Like,
Well, I'll tell you what. Look at that's a great face. Dude.
That's a great face. Yeah.
I'll tell you what. I might do like what I've done in the past and do like one broadcast of like building a character and starting from the beginning and that kind of stuff. Like do one broadcast of doing that
Yeah.
and then probably never play it on cast again like I did with Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Makes
Because
sense.
it's when I play those I hesitate to call it grind, but you know, the games where it's a lot of repetitive stuff to get, you know, items and you know that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not bored, but I am boring.
Sure. No, I had that same feeling when I was playing, and I would think it has a lot to do with the ladder system, but and this is kind of a shout out to Ziggy and all the big Path of Exile streamers. They're like, you guys are really fucking welcoming as a community on Twitch to people jumping into the game in terms of other streamers. Like, I think you guys were hosting the shit out of me yesterday, and I felt so bad because your audience who watches you play came into me, and I'm just like, I can right click the mob. I'm just a complete fucking idiot when they're watching me. I felt terrible.
Man,
but you guys are fantastic
we'd
as a
love
community.
To see you guys. We love to see you guys here streaming the game, you know, because like at the very least, you guys are bringing a bunch of new viewers, so there's that. But
Right.
we like as a community tend to love seeing new players play the game because we get to recapture some of that initial kind of like what it was like when we played the game. When you first look at the skill tree and when you first kind of discover that you can link these skill gems together, like there's been tons of clips of you guys posted on our subreddit of like you guys discovering the new mechanics and being excited, and we're just like, yes, you feel like a proud pappy watching your kid take, you know, first steps or something.
Totally. As someone who experienced something similar with Zeke playing through Final Fantasy, I 100% get it, because as Zeke would approach different things in the game, I'm like, hey, what'd you think of that? And most of the time he's just kind of like, it was all right. I'm like, God damn it, Zeke. So it's cool. It's cool. But I think that's it. I think that's Path of Exile. We're gonna let Ziggy go, unfortunately. But he's just gonna go play more Path of Exile, so it's fine with
We
him.
could seriously talk about PoE for the entire show.
Yeah, we
Like,
could.
That's it.
We could.
I could keep going, but
Yeah.
yes, I'll let you guys talk about other games now, since you are variety casters. Thank you very much for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah.
it's
Do
the
some
increment. It's been awesome.
do some shout outs here. Pimp your stuff. Talk about where people can check you out.
I mean, who actually remembers URLs and things like this these days? Just type ZiggyD into Google and I'll come up, you know.
Cool.
Or if you search for Path of Exile content, you'll find my stuff there. You'll find my stuff.
There
I'm
you go.
apparently ZiggyD StarCraft on YouTube, but yeah, just Google ZiggyD.
Okay. There you
But
go.
thanks for having me on, guys. This is an absolute pleasure. A blast. I've watched this show for a long time, so it's great to come on and chat about my passion, my game, man.
Yeah, it's always fun having people passionate about the games they play here on the show. So thanks so much for coming on, and I guess get back to grinding. What are you doing next, like in Path of Exile? What's your next thing that you're going to be working on?
I don't know what my next build is going to be, but at the moment I'm working on the end game stuff for the new league, the Harbinger maps. It's been a lot of fun. Also, that Labyrinth, man. I've been doing some Labyrinth runs, and I keep dying, but it's so good.
You're doing the 73 Labyrinth or whatever, the highest one?
The Uber Labyrinth, so the highest level one. It's a blast. It's so good now. They've improved it so much. Oh, baby.
So even you die a lot doing this
yeah,
stuff.
man. I
Zeke,
die all the time.
the game is not necessarily unfair, but there's things where you'll just you move so fast in the game, you'll jump into your room and just die. Just like immediately just fucking get clowned on in like a second. And it's just, that's why I couldn't play hardcore in this. I feel like you'd have to play so much slower. And the idea of death being so frequent, it's just kind of like scary as fuck. And the bosses are almost like raid bosses in a sense. You have to learn their actual patterns and like learn the moves that they're doing. It's not just right clicking in that case. So there's stuff to learn for sure. But
I love it. I love getting wrecked by Path of Exile. It feels good, man.
yeah, it's good. It's good. All right. That's it for the first half. Still got another hour and a half. Ziggy, thanks so much for coming on once again.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
dude, thank you very much for being here and for being a charming ambassador of this game. Like, if
Totally.
anybody's gonna convince me to play, it's gonna be you. So it was
man.
good to have you.
Expert.
If you ever want that first taste, the first hit's free, and I'll help you out. Hook you up.
Ziggy's
Now, how many of your audience is going, I've been watching Ziggy for years, and he hasn't offered to play with me?
Oh, God.
Streamer privilege.
Yeah, it's nice. It's already started and you haven't even played the game. We'll be right back, guys, with more Duff Frames Duncanware. We've got Hellblade to talk about. We've got first-person Battlegrounds to talk about. We've got some more early access games that I'm blanking on the name. What's the name of that game, Co, that you played? The Long Dark?
Long Dark.
Long
It's no
Dark.
longer early access.
No longer early access. Okay. We got a lot of stuff. So we'll be right back. And, yeah. See you in just a sec.